they race to the line, and thanks be to Nye's magnetic charm.
Well, hello and welcome along to day 2 of Royal Ascot, the Royal meeting over in the UK. Already underway. Day 1 yesterday, and well, last night for viewers here in Singapore. It was an absolute cracker. And here on the Horse Racing Channel, we have got the remaining 4 days coming your way. 29 races for your entertainment of some of the best racing you'll find worldwide. It may well be behind closed doors, but that certainly won't detract from the quality, that's for sure. And here on the Singapore Horse Racing Channel, we have got 29 of the very best races for you from the Royal meeting at Ascot. And with our partners, Singapore Pools, you can wager on the action from the Berkshire venue as well. Singapore Pools back in operation, and they will be taking bets on the races from Ascot. We start at 8:15 this evening. We go right through until 11:40. 7 races coming up on the programme, and I've cherry-picked a few of my best bets for day 2 of the Royal fixture, and hopefully we can point you in the direction of a few winners here for day number 2, and certainly build a nice bit of a bank going forward to the rest of the week. It's an excellent card. The highlight is the Prince of Wales' Stakes over 2,000 metres. Looking forward to that. I've got one of my best bets coming up in that race as well. But we start at 8:15 with the Silver Hunt Cup. It's a consolation race for the Hunt Cup coming up later on in the card. It's an absolute cavalry charge. We certainly won't see scenes like that at Kranji, that's for sure, with 20 plus runners. But I've opted to just skirt around this race, and my first bet comes up in race number 2. It's a horse called First Receiver in the Hampton Court Stakes. Now, this horse is owned by Her Majesty the Queen, and wouldn't we all love to see the royal colours in the winner's circle at Ascot this year? Obviously, the first time the Queen hasn't been in attendance since World War II, but she will be watching on intentively, that's for sure. A good winner last time, absolutely bolted up on the polytrack at Kempton, and he's a horse, I think, in the right hands. He's ridden by Frankie Dettori this evening, and he's trained by Sir Michael Stout, and he is a horse who I think can progress very well indeed. Others to note in that race: Russian Emperor for Aidan O'Brien, a horse with a beautiful pedigree, could be one to side with, and Juan Elcano, also having run 5th in the 2,000 Guineas. He brings the best form into the race, but for all, First Receiver would need to find a little bit on the official figures. I think he might be the one to side with there in what looks like a competitive race indeed. That comes up at 8:50. Race number 2 this evening. So First Receiver in the second race. Race 3, this is the King George the 5th handicap. Good race this. It's over a mile and a half. And Bright Melody, I think, for me, a horse in here who can certainly run well. Still quite lightly raced, and the step up in trip should suit him. He's got winkers, or cheek pieces, as they're known in the UK, on for the very first time. And I think he's a nice horse, one that should seriously be considered in that race. He's wearing the all blue of Team Godolphin. 2 Nathaniel, I think, could be the each-way play in the race. He won last time, only 5 days ago at Kempton, but it seemed to take an age for the penny to drop. But once it did, he got on top late on. And Winnow Clock, another horse in that race to consider. I think if you were to have a few little wagers, you might well play 2 or 3 in that race, given the nature of the event. That's at 9:25. Bright Melody, a horse I really like in that. Race 4 is the feature, the Prince of Wales' Stakes, and this race coming up at 10 o'clock. Yesterday, Mogul was unable to win. He was very well fancied. His full brother, Japan, is the favourite in this race, and I think he's the one they've got to beat here. He's a real class act. He won at the Royal meeting 12 months ago when taking the King George VII Stakes. He's a quality horse, this Japan, and he looks like he's the one they've all got to get by. A couple against him that perhaps could offer a bit more value. A Headman, who certainly is a progressive horse, but does need to step up. And Lord North, another horse who needs to improve, but he won the Brigadier Gerard Stakes last time out at Haydock, and that was a pretty good win. He looks the type of horse for John Gosden, who can progress this year. But Japan, for me, in the 10 o'clock race number 4, the Prince of Wales is over the 2,000 metre trip. Expect him to prove very tough to beat indeed, and he's going to be a bit of a short price, but I think he's certainly the one that they've got to beat there. And my final bet of the 4 that I've decided to come up with on day number 2 comes up in the penultimate race, 11:10. they are due off for the Windsor Castle Stakes. Now, for those that follow Royal Ascot and obviously know the sort of the international flavour of the meeting, will know that Wesley Ward doesn't come over for the fresh air, that's for sure. And he has won this race twice in the past, back in 2009 and also 2014. He's got two runners in this race. He's got Sheriff Blanco, but the one I like is Sunshine City. Frankie Dettori taking the ride. He and Frankie go back a very long way. And I think the fact that Frankie's booked, Wesley's brought him over. He was a winner last time over a shorter trip, but he took an age to finally get into his stride. But once he did, he finished off very strongly and hit the line well. I think the nature of this race will suit him. Ascot, for those that don't know, very much a stiff uphill finish, and it's quite a testing 1,000 metres there, that Windsor Castle Stakes. But Sunshine City, I think, can certainly go very close indeed for the Americans and add a bit of international spice to what is a slightly subdued Royal Ascot this year. So my 4 bets are on the card for day number 2. I'm going to go race 2 with First Receiver in the Hampton Court Stakes. I think he's got a very strong chance, and hopefully it'll be hats off to Her Majesty the Queen. In race number 3, Bright Melody at 9.25, I think has got every chance there in the handicap. Race 4, the 10 o'clock Japan is my best bet on the programme now. I think he will take the world of stopping. And in race 6, 11.10, if you're still up that late, you can side with Sunshine City for the Americans and Frankie Dettori and Wesley Ward there combining. So they are my 4 best bets and my 4 pieces of advice really for race number 2, for day 2 rather. In those 4 races at Royal Ascot here for 2020. I do hope you enjoy the coverage. If you are tuning in on the Horse Racing channel, you won't miss a thing. 7 races coming up live here this evening, starting at 8.15 right through until 11.40. And don't forget, you can obviously bet on the Singapore races with Singapore pools. And hopefully, just hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be the way of things to come, and hopefully we can get back to action at Kranji as soon as it's safe to do so. Do hope you enjoyed day 2 of Royal Ascot. I certainly will. Can't wait for another day of excellent racing coming up from Ascot this evening. Best of luck.